So I can introduce myself first. I'm Ian Zink, developer advocate over at Replicated. Have a pretty long career doing stuff in the field, and also kind of heads down product development things, kind of all across. I've really kind of played the line between software engineering and solutions architecture for a long time, and now I'm doing developer advocacy. So that's myself. How about you?
Yeah, I'm Simon Lawrence, VP of Eng at Meroxa. Been at Meroxa about 2 years or so. I've mostly been sort of working on, SaaS products and backend side of that stuff for the last probably like almost 10 years.
Okay, cool. So I guess I'll kick off. I saw on your website it says the leading developer experience layer for streaming data. Can
Yeah,
you tell me what does that mean? What does it mean to be the experience layer for streaming data?
yeah. So there are lots of, data products out there that let you stream. If you want to just do bare bone, you can stream data via Kafka. How we're approaching it is we've created this SaaS platform that's one code first, and that's focused around, all right, how do we make it easy for software engineers to work with streaming data? What does that mean? We make it easy to you to work within your existing workflows. So engineers commit things to GitHub, they use code repositories, they want to be able to test, they want to be able to deploy. So we're saying, hey, you don't have to use some SaaS platform that we have to go and build a data pipeline in a UI, let's say. Like, how do you manage, what does change management look like when you have to do something like that? We already, as engineers, have solved change management. We know the best practices. So what we're doing at Meroxa is letting you say, hey, you just write code. You already know how to do that. And then our platform handles the rest.
Cool. So what as like if I'm using an app or whatnot, am I
Yes.
using often streaming data services, like, or is it like when do I normally kind of encounter streaming data services when I'm out in the wild?
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of everywhere behind the scenes, powering lots of things. So let's say your credit card, right? Let's say Visa or whoever is your issuer. You're making transactions. Everyone are making transactions. That is an event stream. That's like a stream of transactions. Let's say you wanted to do fraud detection. So you'd be writing code to process that stream to figure out some business problems. Let's say another example, we've got the big places like Facebook, events happening in applications. It's just streams of data. It's everywhere, basically.
Okay, cool. So if I was using, so would Meroxa, would I actually use like a client? Like, do you have like clients for the web, or is it more like a back-end technology and you'd kind of
Yeah.
terminate it in like
So
a
it's more of a back-end technology. So I'd say, let's say you are an application developer and you want to make use of a real-time stream of events. Let's say you have a database and you want to, consume, let's say, account creations out of that and write some code to process that in real time. You'd use Meroxa. So we're kind of enabling engineers to do things they would already do, except to do this, to roll your own here, you probably need a team of people to just manage infrastructure, managing, Kafka, managing jobs, things like that. So, where we provide value is we're saying, hey, you do not have to manage all of this infrastructure that's needed for streaming. We will do that. You just write the code and you deploy it to our system and we will handle the rest.
Oh, okay. I got you. So would people generally use you like instead of Kafka, or kind of as in addition to kind of thing?
I would say probably instead of, maybe there's some other use case you have for Kafka, but a lot of the use cases people have are, event streams pushing through Kafka. No one wants to manage Kafka. Like, it's a pain. There's so much involved. Like, people want to solve their business problems. And so we're saying, we will be your team, use our platform. We will handle all of the Kafka streaming behind the scenes goodness. And once again, you just write your code. So yeah, you would not have to even use Kafka if there's no, if you were using our platform.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So how do people integrate with your platform then? Is it you have like an SDK that's like multi-language based, or is it more? Yeah.
So we provide a library called Turbine. So right now it's in several languages: Golang, JavaScript, Python. And so using our SDK, you just write code. Let's say, all right, I have a database. I have this database. I want to take the event stream from it. We represent it via SDK as just like a slice or array of, records. You process those records using a function that you just write in whatever language you want. And then you can output mutated records and write them somewhere else or two places, things like that. It really is like, that's why we're saying like, it's really about the experience. Like, you as a developer, you are just you're just writing code normally as you would. And behind the scenes, we're enabling you to do it, processing real-time event streams. It's pretty powerful.
So whereas things like Knative or Lambda are more like REST based in general, you're like, this is like a function as a service that's
correct. Yes.
That plugs straight into your event stream and has clearly defined boundary. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, we think it's pretty great. It's a it's a different approach on things. Most of the event streaming stuff right now is just like not thinking about it from a developer first experience, the code first experience.
Interesting. So this is a SaaS that you were offering originally, right?
Correct. Yes. This is a SaaS platform that we are offering. Yes.
And
or we still we are offering it. People can use. I guess we'll get into how Replicated comes into play, but yes, it's a SaaS platform.
Yeah. Okay. So now people can get it on-prem, right, through Replicated.
Yeah. Correct.
What kind of reasonings did people have that, what were you hearing from your customers for why they wanted to do these kind of things on-prem?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense and it's pretty simple. Like, data is like gold, like, let's say you are in a highly regulated environment. You can't just take this data that you have and send it to, a startup for them to process on their, on their systems. Like, that data cannot leave your control. Like, compliance reasons, security, like, if you're a giant enterprise, you do not want your data to leave your control. And so that's what we were hearing. It was basically like, hey, our security team would never approve us shipping our data out for processing to your system. Like, that's a non-starter. So that was it pretty much. Like, you need on-prem for a certain set of customers.
Yeah, that's definitely something we've kind of heard a recurring theme of, and often those are some of the largest customers.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard from some other customers. They're like, hey, like on-prem, like as like a number is smaller, but as like a revenue figure, it's like equal.
Huge. Yes.
Yeah, or even greater, in many cases than the other.
Like Fortune 100 or something. Like, pretty much, or governmental stuff. Like it's all like none of, they're not going to want to send their data out to a SaaS platform.
Yeah. For your on-prem customers, are you doing anything with like feature flags and like what do you do like with the data and things like that, if anything?
When you say feature flags, you mean like, are we sort of gating certain features for them? Or when you say with the data, like, just want to
Yeah.
clarify to make sure I'm answering that correctly.
Yeah, it can be anything really.
Yeah.
Like feature flags, I guess can be I know we have some customers that are like using Launch Darkly and they've integrated it with that. And then we have other customers that are like maybe setting a license flag here and there and using it to kind of gather data.
Yeah, to date, we are not sort of doing any gating of features, on an individual license basis for on-prem stuff. We have discussed that potentially for the future as we, add certain features that we think are maybe like worth upcharging for. But we haven't done that yet. Right now, our on-prem solution just matches feature-wise what we call our common platform is, being the one that we host ourselves.
Cool. What did that look like when you decided to create your on-prem deployment? Were you already using Kubernetes or?
Yes. So we were already using Kubernetes. I mean, the question just was like, okay, how do we make this on-prem? We were using Kubernetes and also ECS, but containers still.
Okay.
So the question was like, all right, first, what would it look like for us to build a solution to install that platform on-prem? This is one of those, it's a simple thing to say it. Like, yes, we're already running Kubernetes, there are already containers. We can just set up Kubernetes and, but like, one doesn't just snap your fingers and your Kubernetes is set up on some random environment. Another thing that really mattered to us was just like workflow, ease of use. We're about creating a nice, seamless experience. And to get to where we wanted to be by rolling our own would have been just like such an extremely huge lift. It just was not, it wasn't worth it. So it became like, okay, can we just buy this?
Yeah, that's great. So did you go down the path of like investigating doing it yourself for a while and then kind of figured out how hard it was going to be, or were you able to kind of avoid that altogether?
It wasn't that long. Yeah, I mean, typically how we work is we put in some like put together sort of RFCs, etc., and give a week or two of research to be able to like suss out like, all right, what's the problem? What are we trying to solve? That sort of thing. So it was a fairly quick turnaround in the like low single-digit weeks. Because we did not start building. We just kind of sketched out, wrote down what would the requirements be, what would be needed, etc. And just from that, it was clear that it was a daunting challenge.
Cool. So what kind of so when you release new software, you have a SaaS, and I always think this is a really interesting component of SaaS and on-prem. You write some new code for the SaaS. I would in most cases there's some duration of time before that arrives on-prem. I would assume that's in your case. And some people are shipping it. I know of at least some customers that literally have the same exact pipeline for their SaaS and prem and on-prem. What kind of delay do you see there between like SaaS and when you deliver on-prem?
So for like images, etc., like, one pipeline is building for both.
Cool.
For us, it's more, okay, when do we promote this from, a beta channel to give it to people? And that is a kind of a slower, like, we release multiple times a day. And so we're not going to push out like,
Absolutely.
hey,
Yeah.
like, here's
It'd be
another
too
one, here's
much.
another one, here's another one. So that is more like I mean, we're still figuring out the cadence of this, but, like, I think weekly might even be too much. So we might push to even like monthly or something like that. Because at least from our perspective, the on-prem folks, unless someone really, really is like asking for something, like they don't need to like stay as close to the common environment. Also, like, on-prem deploys, we value stability more in the on-prem deploys. And so it's better to wait there and let things soak a little bit in our common environment rather than kind of rushing things out. Because, the more time we give for soaking, the less likely that we will have to then, we break something on-prem, and then the cycle there of getting that out and getting it deployed is just painful because it's involving too many people.
And there's actually an importance in keeping that trust too, because actually when you have the trust that you have the quality and you're not going to introduce problems, then they're more likely to adopt that software faster and you're less likely to have more trouble in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. What is what do your customers look like from how they adopt those new versions that you're shipping? So you're a developer platform. So like
Yes.
I would guess that your customers normally have like 3 environments or so, and they promote versions through, or like how does the customer adopting a new version? What is like all the way through to you release it to they go to production? What does that look like?
Yeah, so for some of our initial customers, we are, we're just very hands-on. And so it's not a like, okay, we release it and then they get notified and they do it whenever. It's more like we release it and then we are going to them and saying, okay, we are, in some places we even have access.
Okay.
Hey, we are going to deploy this new version. Other cases where like, there's some for security reason, et cetera, where it's like air gapped. That one, actually, we don't know. Because they, it is, very security conscious, and we'd have very little information from the other side on how they are operating.
One of those, they could tell you, but they'd have to kill you kind of situations.
Well, it's like, security clearance, like, need to know sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that stuff, like, who knows?
So when it's these ones that you kind of have a little bit more knowledge of, is it like prod is normally like n-2, dev is n-1, and there's another environment that's running, the current version?
We're still early in our journey, so I would not say it's that clean.
That actually, yeah. Well,
if you will.
yeah. So yeah, what I worked for Pivotal for a long time, and this was a thing that we always were driving towards. So it's really interesting. We're trying to solve this kind of thing at Replicated. Um, but yeah, prod often ended up far behind, right? So it's always interesting to me how people are managing that. And I know some of our customers are being really successful, and maybe it sounds like maybe you're one of those too that are keeping kind of all the versions on a later version. So
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The beauty of the common SaaS platform is we manage it, we keep it, it is, lockstep with, the main branch of our repos and such. But yes, as soon as it's out of your control and someone else is, managing that, like I can nudge you, I can say, hey, but like from the customer's side of it, like if it's working and I don't need a certain feature, like leave me alone.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, hey, there's a new thing. Maybe you want this, or there's a performance improvements. Like
Yeah. And that's
upgrade.
actually something we're working on helping with Replicated too, is to help customers want to adopt those new features.
Yeah.
Telling them like what CVEs were present in, like automatically, knowing, hey, they're on this version, and so you should let them know, like, these dependencies, have these problems, and so you might want to think about upgrading.
Yeah, totally. I got a preview of that feature and I was like, yeah, this is amazing because, to overcome the like, why should I upgrade? You just need that information. You need to, upgrade just to upgrade. So you're in a new version is not a compelling for anyone. It's like upgrade because there are these 20 security fixes. Like, okay, like someone's going to upgrade.
Yeah,
Or
I think that,
hopefully.
yeah, I think that's such a core component of security these days, is trying to keep your software updated. And I think InfoSec has strangely historically been a barrier to that. And I think that they're now getting on board with like, oh, keeping software updated is actually very much in our interest. Because
Definitely.
you can see the CVEs counts goes down as you keep everything more updated. So I think they're kind of moving from like being a hindrance to an ally in keeping software up to date, which is pretty cool. Do you collect any I guess have you seen our new adoption metrics? Have you been kind of tracking that at all with like how your customers are adopting your new software?
We haven't. I got a preview of it, and we haven't been using it thus far. No, but
Yeah,
it will be useful to see because then we'll actually have real data rather than poking around and wishing for the best.
yeah, that feature's brand new. I know that I think we just enabled it for all customers like a week ago. So I didn't know if you would have seen it
Yeah,
yet
no,
or been
no.
able to dig into it yet.
I got a preview maybe a month ago. One of your colleagues showed off the shiny new things that were coming, and then I was like, oh, that is really useful. And then I didn't know it got released, so I haven't actually looked at it.
Okay, cool. Um, what kind of difference do you think shipping on-prem has made to your business and like your go-to-market strategy? Has it changed that at all now that you have the capability?
Well, it enables us to talk to certain potential customers that we couldn't before. Like it will, not having an on-prem solution is just a showstopper for like conversation stopper for certain customers. And so if we didn't have that, then it's like it's not worth our sales team even reaching out to these customers if we already know that like they are going to want on-prem. And so that's kind of allowed us to sort of like, all right, we can focus, we can attack the enterprise now because we are able to deliver on-prem. We can use our common platform. You can do on-prem. It's like, hey, we can cover all the bases. So it's enabled us to, kind of go more upmarket, if you will.
Interesting. What do you kind of target certain verticals with like on-prem? Like, was it like before, like let's say healthcare, for example, like that was kind of like a vertical that you weren't really focusing on, and it kind of opens up that vertical? Or
yeah, I mean, I would say the two things it opens up are one, like financial, and government. That's for us that it's opened up, like financial and government, because both of those are, very sensitive to security. And like financial side, like so highly regulated.
yes, indeed. That's those are big ones that we always hear, and of course the government always. Anytime there's spies names involved or anything, obviously they everything's super locked down and you don't get to know anything. You just get to throw software over a wall when
exactly. Hope it works for them. No, the government's not going to send, you're like, oh, you're a startup and you're running on AWS. That's cute. Like, no, we're not going to send you data. Like, you need to be on-prem.
Yeah. That's always such a huge driver, especially when you consider the amount of the economy that is the government, right? Like,
yeah,
like I think government spending is somewhere around. I don't want to really make a number up, but I know I think it's double digits now of the economy is government spending, and so much of it gets eliminated when you can't do it.
It's a huge opportunity area.
I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to tell people about or anything that you thought would be exciting, but
yeah, no, I mean, we're early in our journey with Replicated, but thus far it's it's made my job easier because I don't have to think about how I bundle this application and do all of these things and create a portal. Like, it just, I can just focus on our software and not this extraneous like on-prem deployment goodness. So
yeah,
to me, that's amazing.
Yeah, that does make me so happy. We have some, I guess I don't know how big Meroxa is, but we have some customers that are literally, that their tech team are like 2 people and they're shipping to like multiple customers on-prem, and it's like, that's that's pretty cool that that the technology kind of lets them do that.
We're like, our whole company is around 30-ish people. Like, without the solution, like, we would not be able to be pursuing some of the things that we're pursuing. Like, we just don't have an engineering team big enough to like support our common platform and also figure out an on-prem solution and build that out and support it. Like, that's, so it's enabled us to sort of, fight way above our weight class.
That's pretty cool. So I've also thought maybe, just talking with you just it makes me want to just try this stuff that you've been, you were mentioning there in the beginning, this kind of FAS for data platform. Any particular tips on getting started on like, hey, this is, you might want to start with this language or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can start with, Go or Python or JavaScript. I mean, up to your, we're trying to make it, and we're going to be expanding that out to some more languages in the near future.
Is there a language that's like kind of the de facto streaming data language where it's the one that people tend to kind of gravitate towards, or?
I mean, there's a lot of, or a lot of Java in the streaming world, just because the Apache, Apache Flink, Kafka itself, like a lot of that stuff was Java based, and so there's a lot of Java ecosystem streaming.
Gotcha.
However, right now, like our language of choice in Meroxa is Go, and so we're trying to make it, ultimately, like we're trying to make it so anyone can use whatever their language they're most comfortable in to work on streaming applications. So yeah, if anyone wants to check it out, it's meroxa.com or docs.meroxa.com, and it's our Turbine library, and it's quick to get up and running with a simple app. We actually you download our CLI and you do Meroxa init in your app, and it populates a template so you can quickly get started and playing around with things. So
does it have some sample data and stuff for you to start kind of seeing it do its magic, or?
We have some like test fixtures that we populate into when we populate the template app, so you can do Meroxa test for your app to exercise it with local test data.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely putting this on my to-do list to go give it a try. In some ways, I didn't want to know too much going into this, because it's kind of fun to not know too many details so that you can kind of ask the right questions, because a lot of times you don't think to ask the right questions if you already have like researched it and knew too much. So
yeah,
this was fun. I'll definitely maybe after I do play around with it a little bit, we can even go a little deeper sometime or something. So
that'd be awesome. We'd love the feedback.
Yeah,
Get you writing some streaming apps.
yeah, absolutely. I like to try everything. So I don't know how many programming languages like I've just dabbled in, just because I want to know how they work and how many technologies. So I'm definitely love to know the field in general, and love to hear everyone's stories and what they're solving. So appreciate you telling yours.
All right, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully this was a great experience.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Simon.
All right, have a good one.